Usually in these yearly update videos, I'll try to talk a little bit about my personal life and just generally reflect on the past year. But let's be honest, we don't need to dwell on that. This year's been such a shit show. We're all just trying to get out of it and hope that next year is better. So we're just going to go right into the more fun, lighthearted stuff of the video. This update will be split between the stuff that I have played and watched in 2020, and then stuff that I have released and things that have changed for the channel. And finally, I'll end on things that I have planned and that I'm getting ready moving forward. So just like many of you, I'm sure I consumed a truly ludicrous amount of media this year. That's kind of the one upside, is that I finally been able to replay or play or just catch up on a lot of different things that I haven't been able to watch or play in the past. So I'm just gonna have kind of a list just going while I'm talking about the stuff that I had the biggest impact on me, but it was a lot. Just like usual, music, I have still been kind of bad at discovering new music, so I don't really have a ton to talk about in this part of the video, but that does mean that I can give the few things that I do want to talk about a little highlight. The main thing that I was really anticipating this year and that I want to discuss is I don't know how, but they found me's first full-length album, Razzmatazz. I mentioned this off and on over on Twitter, and I gave a little bit of review, but just to put it on the channel, because I wound up not making a 4 minutes 4 on it. I really like Razzmatazz. I don't know how's general sound. It kind of combines like indie rock with a lot of 80s and just like fun funk and synth stuff. It was a little bit more on the, I would say, like a new wave of emo with their debut EP, but with Razzmatazz they combined a lot of different elements, and each song you can kind of hear certain things like Sugar Pills reminds me of The Cars. Other songs have a little bit of Prince on them, and there's just a lot of different kind of funk and pop elements in this album, and I wound up really enjoying it. What really surprised me the most is that I have enjoyed it, I think, more every single time I've listened through it. It's the kind of thing where the singles started coming out, and each single I was like, yeah, this is good. It's not quite what I was hoping for based on the EP, but it's still really enjoyable. And then I listened to it more and more, and I think I really like the entire album. There's a couple weaker songs, like Cluster Hug doesn't really do it for me, but songs that at first I was just okay with, like the title track Razzmatazz or Lights Go Down, have been songs that have just tremendously grown on me, and now they're some of my favorites. I absolutely recommend you checking this band out, as well as their old band, the Brabecs. They have some really good tunes too. Other than that, I've just been listening through like this Russian funk band, Leningrad. They're really cool. Bayside is a little bit older, I guess kind of emo pop punk band, you could probably call them, but the singer has just like this incredible voice, like maybe one of the best voices that I've heard in the genre, maybe in general. It's so distinct and it's just great. I highly recommend checking that out. Some of my favorite songs are Bury Me and Sick Sick Sick. Also Forgive Durden's really good, and I have been playing a ton of the Doom Eternal music. I think Mick Gordon absolutely knocked it out of the park again. Now to speed through some of the movies and shows, this during quarantine was the first time I have been fully able to watch Breaking Bad. I don't have much to say about it other than it's amazing and one of the best shows I've ever watched. So if somehow, like me, you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. It's so good. I also rewatched The Last Airbender and finally got through watching the entirety of Legend of Korra. Korra is definitely, I think, weaker than Last Airbender, despite all of the interesting things that it does with its characters and the world building, how it has progressed the world at large and addresses some of the possible conflicts that would have built off of The Last Airbender. It's really good, but you can definitely feel that they were never sure how long that they could push a story arc. So every season is kind of its own thing, and it does really hinder the overall series, unlike Last Airbender that is so clearly a beginning to end season 1 through 3. Just everything feels perfectly paced and planned out. Also watched The Haunting of Bly Manor. I talked about Hill House before in my horror review kind of montage that I did parts 1 and 2 for. Hill House is in part 2 of that if you want to check that out. Bly Manor is really good. I thought the first half of the season was maybe stronger than Hill House. I really like the characters. There's less of the kind of forced feeling monologues that kind of plagued Hill House. That was kind of the main thing I didn't like about that. But the more Bly Manor went on, the more it turned less into horror and more into, I think, a drama focusing on relationship stuff. And like the history of the house, I thought was interesting, but I don't know. There's just something missing that made Hill House so cohesive in Bly Manor. I still recommend it. Rahul Kohli is splendid, great, but there's just a little bit something missing, and I don't know if I would really rewatch it as like a horror thing around Halloween time, you know. Also just finished Mandalorian season 2. I think it's a little more consistent, I would say, than season 1. Season 1 had some real stinkers like the jail heist episode, but it does teeter on the edge of too much fan service. I didn't really have a problem with it because I'm not super into the extended universe. I haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels. So mostly when characters showed up from those, I was hearing it through my friends how cool of an event it was. And so it didn't really feel tired when every episode felt like it was introducing some kind of big special character. I definitely think it could have been worse. Like I said, it does push it a little bit when the really big name guys start showing up like Boba. And I guess whatever. It was trending on Twitter. When Luke shows up, it just barely is a little too far. But I think the implementation and the way that they were doing the characters and how it fit into the story overall feels pretty natural, and I still really like all the acting. I think, like I said, the episodes are more consistent and enjoyable, lots of really cool fights and set pieces. And one final shout out to the composer, Ludwig, I think his name is Göransson, should have looked it up before recording, but the music for basically the entirety of the season 2 finale is excellent, so good. The Dark Trooper theme, like the random just like industrial electronic, is great, and then the music when Luke shows up is so good. I've been listening to it over and over. It gives me chills. It's a great piece of music. Rewatched Over the Garden Wall. If you haven't watched that, go check it out. That and Gravity Falls are some of my favorite animated things ever, and Over the Garden Wall has such a just powerful, strong, and tight vibe when it comes to really encapsulating the feel of like fall and autumn and the kind of like coldness and darkness and weirdness that it has around, between like Halloween and before it gets too Christmassy. I think it really captures that well, and it's like a must watch for the season. I would say the same goes for Coraline. I have watched it before this year, but I rewatched it during a massive Halloween movie watching that I did for the entire month of October, and it's really good. It's probably one of my favorite stop motion things besides Nightmare. Again, somehow, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. To start going into that Halloween thing, like I said, I watched a ton of movies for the first time during that, one of which was Train to Busan. That was a really solid movie, I thought. There might have been a little bit of benefit from the language barrier. I thought that there was a couple character tropes that, if they were done in a more American way, I would think we're a little tired. But because of the cultural separation, it didn't bother me. And the way that they laid out the tension and just kind of the flow of the story on this train and then needing to get off and all the crazy stuff that goes on throughout that movie, and naturally finding out the weaknesses of these zombies and how they kind of operate and the certain strengths that the characters bring to the team. I loved it. I thought it was a really good movie. Highly recommend it. Interview with a Vampire I watched for the first time. That is another movie that really encapsulates a certain vibe, and this time I think it's that kind of like classical pretty boy vampire. I think it really nails that vibe. I really enjoyed it. And a movie I did not enjoy as much as I thought I would is Frankenweenie. I'm beginning to realize that I don't really care about a lot of Tim Burton stuff. Like Nightmare Before Christmas is Henry Selick, Coraline, so obviously those two are good, but it still has Tim Burton's name on it, so I've always kind of associated him with liking Nightmare and just like liking that general style. But Frankenweenie is a really weak movie. Like, it is very middling. It doesn't do anything too fun with character design or the visual presentation, and there's like kind of like weird racism stuff in there. I would not recommend that movie, and I just kind of wanted to bring it up because it really surprised me how much I did not dig that movie. Worst thing I watched during Halloween was Slender Man or Slender, whatever that movie was called, the Sony one. That was pitiful. That, like, don't even bother watching it as a bad movie. It is a barely finished, barely, like, super poorly constructed movie. God awful, boring, don't watch it. Watched Parasite earlier in the year. That was a really good, well executed film. And I also watched the new Aladdin, which I think is the only live action Disney thing that I've watched. And with that, I never need to watch another one because that was a piece of crap. All the new songs were garbage. Most of the versions of the old songs were very bad. It was bland, and just the changes to the stories were so stupid. Yeah, it was bad. I don't know how those are making as much money as they are outside of the name. And to touch on games real quick, have been playing more Risk of Rain. Great game now that it is in a more final state. I already enjoyed it before, but now it's really fun. I love playing that. Hypercharge Unboxed is a first-person shooter from the perspective of like toy soldiers, which lends itself to some really interesting levels. It's like a protect the area type of game where you have these the hyper cores that you need to protect as waves of enemies spawn, and they're all different kinds of toys. There's boss monsters, like a big T-Rex toy and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. You can really customize your character to make it feel like a over-the-top Toy Story, corny kind of toy soldier, and I really enjoyed it. I would recommend that for sure. Just recently started playing Monster Hunter Generations. I'm getting a decent amount of fun out of that. It's a lot of fun to play with other people, even though there's a lot of weird, confusing stuff in there with the RPG elements, but I'm still definitely enjoying that. Would recommend that. Mario 35 was fun for like a week, but doesn't hold a candle to Tetris 99, which I was playing Invictus as I have been. I'm still playing the hell out of Tetris 99, and it was 2 people left, and I was about to win. I was doing amazing. The other person was completely stacked up, and I was in handheld, and my Switch died, and it was the most disappointing thing that I could not get that win. Otherwise, played Luigi's Mansion 3 multiplayer with my girlfriend. That was a lot of fun. Definitely check it out. And finally, still playing Smash with all the DLC that's been coming out this year. To just kind of lightly touch on that, I've kind of already expressed my feelings on Byleth. I think they were an okay addition. The moveset is fun. They feel like a good fit, and they offer a couple new things to the table, but Byleth is the whatever choice. I don't really play as them a lot, and I don't think they do anything too exciting for the DLC. Then we got Min Min, which I really liked in concept. I really liked how far they were pushing how the moveset is built and how the character functions, but I do not like playing as Min Min, really. It's just very confusing, and it doesn't work for my play style. I haven't really seen a lot of Min Mins either. And then we got Steve, which I have already talked about enough, but super excited for Steve. Again, another character I don't really play because the resource gathering moveset doesn't really work for me a whole lot, but so exciting that he got into the game. And then just a couple days ago, we got Sephiroth, and I'm surprised how much I've been loving Sephiroth. I think the entire moveset feels super well realized. Each move has a certain use and just like a best time to use it. The specials are all really fun. The reveal trailer was excellent with the the really imposing nature that it gave Sephiroth, and making him seem like this really like evil dude, which I haven't played Final Fantasy, but even I know that he is that. The music is cool, the costumes are cool. It sucks that Gino couldn't get anything special in the game as a Mii fighter, or become playable, but overall I think this recent wave of Smash stuff has been excellent, and I can't wait for the next 3 fighters. So now let's go through what I've put out as Room 100 this past year. I was really consistent the first half of the year, putting out something every other week, often every week. So I put out a lot of stuff this year, and just to kind of go through, with 4 Minutes 4, I reviewed Cats, Knives Out, Witcher, Mandalorian Season 1, Birds of Prey, Sonic, Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing when it first came out, and 6 Months In, Disney Plus, which involved Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, and Onward, Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, a bunch of horror movies, Minecraft Dungeons, What We Do in the Shadows Season 2, Umbrella Academy Season 2, Codename Steam, SteamWorld Heist, Fall Guys, and XCOM 2 Collection for Switch. And usually I kind of mention if I have changed my feelings on any of those things over the course of the year. If you want to see my full rankings list, I'll put that in the description. The only changes I had were, I know I reviewed it last year, but Rise of Skywalker, I moved from 5.5 to 5. The more I think about it, the more I kind of hate that movie. Like, I know there was good stuff in it, but I hate that it's such an indication that they had no idea what they were doing. It just, so many of the choices in that movie are really frustrating, especially when Mandalorian is doing so much right. Knives Out, I didn't change the score of it, but I basically made it a stronger 8. I've rewatched that movie a lot of times in the past year, and it's just such an enjoyable movie. Like, even though you're not trying to figure out the mystery once you've watched it multiple times, there's still stuff that you're noticing, and it's just a great movie to put on. Rian Johnson knocked it out of the park. And finally, I moved Birds of Prey from 7.5 to 7, mostly just because I think it's more forgettable than I gave it credit for. There's still a lot of cool stuff in it, but as the rating change indicates, it's just not as good as I originally kind of thought it was. Otherwise, I made a Smash predictions video, a video about MCR's album structure, the weird April Fool's thing with the Avatar series and Twilight. I made the 3 new Smash characters, which was QB, Trapper, and XCOM, 3 new Miis being Athlete, Musician, and Racer. I hosted an online tourney to talk about that for a second. I had a lot of fun with that. The turnout was a little small, but it turned out to be just about the right amount of people that I, as a one-man operation, could handle. And there was some weird stuff that happened, but overall I'm really happy with how that stream turned out. I would love to do that again sometime and give out some more prizes. Did a Master Chief moveset, Piper moveset, Fall Guy moveset, and a comparison between my moveset for Steve and the real deal. I streamed Doom Eternal, Jedi Academy, Animal Crossing, Fall Guys, and the Mario collection. I released 5 episodes of Ready Moveset Go, as well as a collection of the ideas that I had for the first 5 episodes. And the thing that I am most proud of is I put out a lot more music than I was thinking I actually would be able to. I was able to do this for a couple reasons. Obviously, I had a lot more time at home. But what was really cool is I bought this drum sampler called Steven Slate Drums. If you are a solo musician who wants that band sound, I have gotten a ton of mileage out of that already. I started using it during PK King stuff, which I'll mention in a second, but there's some great sounds on there, and I do think I'll be able to use it for some really cool stuff in the future. So I released a bunch of old songs, such as some stuff for Fantasy Smash Ball from an old school project of mine, Household the Video Game, and for an intro to the Get a Room tournament and my one D&D campaign set in Fiorin. I also put up acoustic demos for my next album, 3113. I did music for PK King's Rivals of Aether OC Lodin, and that was a ton of fun. Those are songs that I'm really proud of. I think it's some of the best stuff I've done, and I think all 4 tracks are just super solid. Go check them out if you haven't yet. I'm very proud of them. And the last 3 things that I've done, I also think is some of the best stuff I've ever done. I did the Linkin Park version of Florida Georgia Line's This Is How We Roll. The writing and production and the video for that, I think is one of the best things on the channel. So if you haven't seen that, even if you're not into either Florida Georgia Line or Linkin Park, I would say go check it out, because I just think it's really good. And I also did music for a friend's campaign, which was The Seams, and just a fun little corny pop punk song that my girlfriend wrote for a Kids on Bikes campaign called Reflections. Those are both really cool. I had a ton of fun doing those, so check those out. And all of that amounts to like 80 subs this year. The channel is sitting around 320, a little above. Every time I say how many subscribers I have, a bunch of people wind up leaving, so who knows what it'll be at when I post this video. But no major blow-ups, nothing that has really gotten up to the level of the Doomslayer moveset. But that's fine, because I honestly am just happy that I feel my quality of my videos, both like the Smash stuff, Ready Moves That Go, and my music has just been increasing constantly. So I'm still really happy with where the channel's at right now. I also wanted to mention briefly that I've kind of taken everything off of Patreon. No one was going for it, which that doesn't surprise me, but I just want to make sure that if I ever get enough of a following to do Patreon, that I am able to follow through with what I am offering on that service. So for now it's taken down, and if I do get enough of a following that I think Patreon is possible again, I'm going to kind of revamp the tier levels to some really cool stuff. And where is Room 100 going from there? The main thing that is going to change with the channel is I'm restructuring the kind of schedule that I'm working on and that I work to produce videos for. And here is what that change is going to look like. The biggest thing that you will notice, obviously I've taken a little bit of a break from 4 Minutes 4 with the everything going on, and things aren't releasing in a normal way that lets me review something new every 2 weeks. What I've decided to do, at least I'm going to try it for a little bit, is I'm going to stop the 4 Minutes 4 series and replace it with something that I'm calling Rates and Ravings. This will be a once a month thing at the end of the month, and will be a little bit more of like this kind of style of an update thing, like a vlog, and that will let me talk about kind of whatever I've been playing that month, whether it is a new thing or something that's old that I'm catching up on. And that basically just lets me be a little more free with it, and also gets me out of that 4-minute time constraint. A lot of times when I'm doing 4 Minutes 4, I either have to stretch the content to make sure it fits the episode, or I need to cut like a minute's worth of commentary out of it. So I think that this will let me more accurately discuss the things that I've been watching or playing that month. Will let me do a little bit more visually to show off the specific talking points that I'm going over. And like I said, it makes it monthly instead of bi-weekly, and that way it gives me a lot more time to work on other things that I think are more important for my creativity and growing the channel. So how does this fit together? Well, the way I have it laid out right now is the first week of the month, if I do anything that week, I would like to be doing more streaming. And that could be, a new game or whatever I'm playing at the time. But the first week is kind of a flex week. If I don't get anything done then because I'm working on content for the next couple weeks, then so be it. I'm not that stressed about it. But if I do something during that first week, it will be streaming. The second week will be something Smash or gaming related. And in that, I have really wanted to do Ready Moves That Go more consistently. It's kind of been all over the place for the first 8 episodes. But what I want to do is that every other month, so the next episode will come out in February, will be an episode of Ready Moves That Go. So that way I'll be able to get 6 episodes out during the year, and that kind of gives me just the right amount of time to record it the month before, edit it while working on other stuff, and then release it at a more consistent schedule, because I am really happy with how it's going, but I want to get it out more consistently so it can grow. And then on the months when I'm not doing Ready Moves That Go, that will be stuff like my individual Smash movesets, or not theories, but just like the broader discussion topics of like, maybe I'll do another 3 me movesets, or I've been working on a video for a while about which Valve rep could get into Smash, so that will probably come, I think, in March, because I still need to work my way through Half-Life 2, just to get a good enough idea of what Valve rep should get into Smash. Week 3 is another flex week where I might not release anything if I am busy working on other stuff, but this will be the more general discussion type of things, like the show episodes where I talk about something in the music industry or an overarching thing I'm noticing in the film industry, anything like that. That's kind of where that space is for. I have a couple ideas for that, but it's not something that I want to do super consistently, so that's, again, kind of a space where at the least I'll be doing 2 videos a month, but if I have the time and I have the inspiration, then I can do the full a video every week. And then at the end of the month will be rates and ravings that will let me kind of discuss everything that I've been doing that month, and maybe talk a little bit about what I'll be doing the next month. So that's what Room 100 will look like going forward. I may alter it as I go along, and if I decide to bring 4 minutes for it back, or increase or decrease the amount of videos I'm working on. But the final note I want to talk about is going back to the music. I've been so happy to work on new music again. It's been really refreshing and kind of, I think, really reminded me that that's what I want to do, and that's what the point of this channel is, even though I got away from it for a while, just working on Smash stuff and the reviews and things like that. It's a lot easier content. Finding these new methods, like using Steven Slate drums, and I've kind of been amassing more instruments for myself. Like I bought a cajon, I bought a shaker and a tambourine, and I've also gotten better at vocal tuning, making my mediocre vocals more acceptable. So I think the biggest thing that I want to work on next year is actually getting the albums that I've been writing out there, and that includes 3113, getting full band versions of the songs I made acoustic demos for, and another album that I have been writing off and on during quarantine, very much influenced by this particularly bad time period. And the album is called Re-Entry. It's like a concept album, and I would like to get both of them out next year. I think with the skills and the equipment that I have now, I might be able to do it. So that may be a week 3 slot thing. I might wind up doing musical updates, or that's when I will, release singles or things like that as I go, or if I do more covers. But yeah, I really want to push for more musical stuff, so I am super excited to get that out there. Please, again, check out the music that I've been doing recently. I'm very proud of how it turned out, and I hope that you all can give it a look. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, it's been a year, but I have to be super thankful for everyone who's been coming along. A big thank you to all the guests that I have worked on, or people who have enabled me to work on more music. So shout out as always to the Ready Moves That Go guys, PK King 544, Pizza Do Mankai, and Nantenjex over at Source Gaming. Working with Ready Moves That Go is always a pleasure. I also had Delzafin and Backseat on for that show. Thank you again for coming on. Those were great episodes. And also a big thank you to PK King and to my friend Evan and to my girlfriend Morgan for giving me these musical projects to work on that have really reignited, I think, my passion for it and my drive to make sure that I'm putting out more original music on the channel. Oh, and big thank you to Holy Knight Hikaru over on Twitter. They made some excellent fan art of me and the other guys on Ready Moves That Go, and it was just a very nice surprise, and I thought it's really great, so thank you again for that. Thank you to everybody who's been following along with me. It's been great to keep making stuff for you, and I hope that I'll be able to make even more cool stuff for you in the future. So, one more time, thanks for watching, and have a happy new year.